Welcome to the RDG Kitchen, and today we're going to do some kind of crazy, fun, and somewhat dangerous looking stuff with coconuts and fresh coconuts. And you've never really had coconut, you've had fresh coconut. And what always stands between you and fresh coconut is this problem, the hard coconut. So I'm going to show you how to open a coconut. This is how you do it. You put it in the palm of your hand, then you extend your arm out, count to say 3, and then bring your arm back and look. The coconut is open. Want to see it again? You extend your arm out, kind of count to 3 or so, and boy, you have a hard coconut. You have to put your hand back out. This can be easily done at home. It's fairly safe. So enough kidding aside, let me show you how to open up a coconut. And you hear crazy stories about throw them off the building, put a saw to it, run a car over it, but it's a little bit wacky. But one way to do it, some people will, and there's 3 little eyes in the bottom, they'll poke a ice pick or a screwdriver there and drain the water out. But then you have a hole in the bottom half if you want to use it for like a cup for a soup or a salad. So what I like to do is, if you identify those 2 ends with the holes at one end and where the stem comes off, you look at the equator around the other side, and that's where probably that shell is the weakest. And if you hold it in your hand, and now this part is very important, with a knife, not the sharp end, but the dull end, you just simply firmly tap that coconut. And you can rotate it around a little bit in your hand as you kind of whack the coconut. And it'll sound very hard as you go, but you're hitting right in that little equator, and that's where the coconut probably is the weakest. And you'll start to hear the sound change. Hear that sound? Now it's a little hollow, dull sound as you go around. And you keep kind of rotating it, remembering not to raise the knife too high and hit yourself with the knife going back. You just keep whacking it. Listen for that sound to change. Hear it again? And now it's going to start to crack. Sounds like a little dud of a drum. Like you can almost see that crack forming. See the crack there along that coconut? Once you see that happening, it's almost like you can get in there. You just keep working that crack, giving it firm hits, and it'll slowly start to break apart. Now always be cautious when doing this, because you don't want to miss and even hit your hand with the back of a knife. Well, this one is almost broken apart now. A couple more hits. This one's pretty close. It'll open up. You could even insert the knife along that crack now, because it's pretty open. And you'll see the water now drain out as it goes. Sometimes they'll crack right in half. But now we've kind of got it. You see where we have it now. It comes right apart into 2 halves. And the water goes into the bowl, which we can strain out. And there's the beautiful fresh coconut inside. So now is how to get the coconut out. And in a lot of ways you could do it. With the knife you could score it and pop it out. Some people use like a butter knife or a round dull knife or even a spoon and just kind of work it in along the edge of the coconut. And you just kind of pry it away carefully off of the shell. You see, you just kind of run it around and kind of push that kind of dull knife down. Even the oyster knife can work well. And just kind of slowly, it takes a little bit of patience, pry it away from the shell. You can get it out in pieces if you cut it up. Some people pride themselves on getting the whole thing out in one piece. You get to a certain point where it'll just start to pop out. See it coming loose now? There it finally kind of comes loose. Kind of work that spoon or little thread knife underneath there. And even if it breaks apart, it's okay, because we're going to slice it up anyway. Up! And out pops all the coconut meat from the shell. And sometimes they'll have a little bit of the fine, so this is very fine, which is really okay. And you can take it then even, and with a knife, or like a potato peeler, you can just go along and just sort of trim off those little pieces if you like it nice and clean. Just kind of trim it up. So then you end up with, it's kind of neat, total fresh coconut meat in a nice little bowl almost for a service piece. And that's what we're going to make today, is we're going to make a little shrimp and coconut salad, kind of a classic combination, but with fresh coconut for a little lunch special at RDG. Let me show you the salad. We're going to use the fresh coconut, which you can slice just like any kind of vegetable, nice and white, and you can cut it in nice little, almost kind of shaved, so it's really, really thin pieces of coconut. And we're going to use it fresh, not even roasted. Almost like a little, and real coconut's not very sweet. It has a faint sweetness to it, but most of the sweetness you get in coconut is because they add a lot of sugar to it. So it almost cuts like a little, almost like a little melon. And it's really, really wonderful. Nothing like fresh coconut. Makes you think of vacation. So for our shrimp salad then, we'll put a little bit of the coconut. And you can just kind of do this freehand. Some shrimp with the coconut. I like to add a little bit of serrano chili to it, just to give it that little spice. Thin little rounds. Wonderful flavor. Then we'll add a little bit of fresh chopped cilantro to it. Very sort of tropical kind of salad. Then we'll add a little splash of olive oil. And a little bit of fresh lime. And a little pinch of pepper. This is a very simple salad, but very tasty. And a little bit of salt. And you end up with this wonderful, just kind of toss it all together. And it's really beautiful with the cilantro and the chili, the lime juice, and the bits of very fresh coconut. All right, so to finish this off, I'll show you how we're going to present this. And I'll show you a little trick first. You can take that fresh coconut meat and the water that you got from it strained out of anything and put it into a blender and puree it, and it will become very white and very smooth. And we can even make a little dressing out of that by having a little bit, look how this is just pureed in the blender. That's just coconut water and the fresh coconut with no sugar, so it's not sweet at all. And then we can almost make like a little coconut vinaigrette by adding a little bit of olive oil to it. And a little lime juice. Lime and coconut, always wonderful. Add a little pinch of salt. And you can add a little chopped garlic or chopped shallot to it if you like. And it gives you really kind of a little faint, beautiful little coconut vinaigrette. You could add a little hot chili to it if you like. I really like the way it kind of just gives the olive oil this faint flavor of coconut. So here's how we're going to present the salad. I'd like to use that half a coconut that we fought so hard for as a little dish. And if you put it on the plate, you know, it'll sometimes sit up, sometimes it'll fall over. So we'll put like a little slice of lime on the bottom and then just kind of press that into the lime. It'll tend to stay a little bit better. I have a little piece of iceberg here to go with it, kind of very, very crisp and fresh. And then we'll put that shrimp salad into the coconut. That way, if you do this, you can be convinced somebody got a fresh coconut. Then to finish it, we have our little kind of fresh coconut vinaigrette that we'll just put over the lettuce, so it'll run right into that iceberg, making sort of a coconutty iceberg, even a little bit kind of over the top of the whole thing, just to give it a good tropical kind of flavor. And then we'll do a little bit of kind of watercress garnish here to kind of finish it off nicely, make it look real pretty. So you can see this is, you know, it's just a fun little dish, I think. This fresh coconut like you've never tasted with shrimp and the crunchy iceberg lettuce. And we're going to do it at lunch at RDG, part of the neighborhood lunch. Again, as always, delicious and only $10, so I hope you come by and see us.